Dear students, I, Dr. Premchand Vasist, welcome you all in the lecture series of Computer Architecture and Organization, that is KCS 302. Here I am going to start with the Unit 4, that is Memory. The very first lecture will define about the introduction of memory, different type of memories, their architecture, working, some features as well. So let's start with the lecture 1 based on the memory of Unit 4. As far as memory is concerned, every computer contains several types of devices to store the instruction and data required for its operation. In simple words, we can say memory, the simple dictionary meaning means to remember something, that is called as the memory. But when it comes to main memory or system memory, then it is the primary memory or the memory that is we are working with that particular type of, you can say, in notepad. For example, as an analogy, if you are typing something, you are learning something, then you need a piece of paper to remember something, to solve something. For example, we can say, we can conclude by the way your mind might be considered as the processor, and the piece of paper onto which you are writing can be considered as the main memory or RAM, or you can say the teacher's blackboard, whiteboard with the marker can be considered as the RAM. On that time, when if the professor is solving any problem, then you can say he's using the RAM as the whiteboard with the marker, and her mind as the processor. So in that way, I want to conclude with the introduction of memory that every computer contains several type of devices. These which store some instruction, some data for its operation. These storage devices plus algorithms means the way the different type of programs which are implemented by either by the hardware or the software needed to manage stored information from the memory system of the computer. So with this, we have defined the introduction, the definition of the memory. As far as the basic concepts, the maximum size of the memory that can be used in any computer determined by the addressing scheme. What is the addressing scheme? It tells how much of the space, how much of the, you can say, area of the memory you can address at a particular time t, or by some particular number of address buses. For example, if we will say we are having a 16-bit address bus, then 2 raised to power 16 is equal to 64 kilo memory locations can be addressed by that particular processor. In other words, if you are having n number of address buses, your processor buses will be there. Where will be the buses? The buses will be with the processor. Generally we will say this particular processor is having n number of address buses, and we will say x number of the data buses, and so number of control buses. You might be aware with this time, you might be aware what is the meaning of the bus, what is the meaning of address bus, data bus, control bus. So every time when we are able, or we are going to just find out how many memory locations can be addressed by a particular processor, we can say 2 raised to power number of the address buses of, or address bits of that particular processor. Simply, if we are having n number of addresses bus, then we can say 2 raised to power n. Here, some question will be there in your mind, why the 2 raised to power n or 2 raised to power 16? The answer for this is that we are having only 2 bits when we are working with the system, computer system. What are those bits? These 2 bits are 0 and 1. Only as we are using binary system into the computer. So this is the very simple diagram of the connection of memory to the processor. Here we are having some processor with memory address register, memory data register, with k bit of address buses and n bit of the data buses, which can be which can give the addressing to the memory up to 2 raised to power addressable locations. As I told you in the last slide, that 2 raised to power k. K is the number of address buses. And what will be the word length? Word length will be defined by the data bus. Data bus will define how much will be the length of the word. Word means the number of amount of data which can a processor read at a single attempt of time. That is called as word length. So by this way, you can see the connection of the memory to the processor. Here we are as with the basic concept. The next concept is of memory hierarchy. You will be better understand if I will give the dictionary meaning of hierarchy or with an example. Hierarchy is something arranged in some order, ascending order or descending order. For example, I can say the family hierarchy. If I am going to count or I am going to name your grandfather, your father, yourself, or your uh, son, daughter, then we can say this is the family tree, or you can say we can see the family hierarchy of this particular family. Same way we are having the memory hierarchy. Memory hierarchy means the levels, different levels of the memory on the basis of their price, on the basis of their performance, on the basis of their efficiency, from smaller to the larger, or vice versa. In other words, the total memory capacity of a computer, which can be visualized as being a hierarchy of components, or the memory hierarchy system consists of tall storage devices employed in a computer system from slow but high capacity. What is the meaning of this? Slow but high capacity. Slow means the speed of that memory is slow, but the capacity of that particular memory is high. What is the example? Auxiliary memory, secondary memory. To the relatively faster main memory means, what are the faster memories? The main memories are the faster memory, but the drawback is their size is smaller. So we can say from slow but high capacity to faster and smaller. Cache memory, accessible to high speed processing logic. At the bottom of the hierarchy are the relatively slow magnetic tapes used to store movable files and different other file or folders. The magnetic disk used as a backup storage. The main memory occupies a central position by being able to communicate directly with the CPU and with the auxiliary memory devices through the I/O processor. What is the meaning of I/O processor? This is input-output processor. Let's see the example of memory hierarchy. This is the very simple example. We are having the small but fast registers, then cache memory, then main memory, thereafter secondary storage memory, and offline storage like tab. From bottom to top, if we are going from slow and inexpensive to fast and expensive, with the increasing performance and increasing cost. For example, the offline storage or the tape or disk are slow and inexpensive. But if we are working with the register or cache memory, these are fast and expensive. By this way, we can define what the memory hierarchy is. Thereafter, we are having the basic concept of the main memory, auxiliary memory, cache memory. Main memory that communicate directly with the CPU is called as the main memory. Auxiliary memory, already told you, the secondary memory is device that provide backup storage. These are called as auxiliary memory disk drives. Thereafter, we are having cache memory. It is a special, very high speed memory to increase the processing speed of the RAM. What is this? This is the smaller, faster memory which is placed in between the main memory and the processor. To speed up the system, to make the system efficient, we are using a smaller but faster memory that is called as cache memory, which takes the information from the RAM, or you can say primary memory, and provides to the processor for working efficiently. This is the very simple diagram where we are having the CPU. If you are saying the CPU as the head or the brain of the system on the top, thereafter the main memory is connected. You can see from here. I will see. I will show you by some other way as well. I will show you by some marker as well. I'm using the spotlight to show you. You will see over by this way you can see. This is the processor, and it is connected with the this main memory. CPU can take the words or the information or data or instruction from the main memory. Same time, it can take the information from cache memory as well. To make the system efficient, to make the system fast, the data, the information which are used recently or which are used frequently are being kept with the cache memory. The processor take information, the data instruction from the cache memory and work on that particular data or the instruction. There are two terms which are being used with the cache memory. If the data is found in the cache, then it is called as cache hit. If the data is not found in the cache memory, then we will say a cache miss is there. If cache miss is there, then the data will be retrieved, the information will be taken from the main memory. It will transfer from main memory to cache memory, and then CPU will use that particular information from the cache memory. So we can say this is the memory which is kept in between the CPU and main memory. This is the IO processor which is working with your magnetic tapes, magnetic disk as well. Now you will see the main memory. I have discussed many things about the main memory and the cache memory. The main memory is the central storage unit in a computer system. It is a relatively large and fast memory used to store programs and data during the computer operation. The principal technology used for main memory is based on the semiconductor integrated circuits. Integrated circuit RAM chips are available in two possible operating modes: static mode, dynamic mode. Static RAM consists of essentially of internal flip-flops store the binary information, and the dynamic RAM you can say which are made up of capacitors. The stored information remain valid as long as the power is applied to the unit. By this way, a dynamic RAM again can be defined. Dynamic RAM stores the binary information in the form of electric charges that are applied to the capacitors. I feel you are aware with the difference of static RAM and dynamic RAM. Static RAMs are made up of flip-flops, whereas dynamic RAMs are made up of capacitor, or simply we can say the charge are applied to the capacitor for storing the information in the chargeable form. Capacitors are provided inside the chips by MOS transistors. Stored charge on the capacitor tend to discharge with the time, and capacitors must be periodically recharged by refreshing the dynamic memory. Refreshing is done by cycling through the words every few milliseconds to restore the decaying charge. What is the meaning of this? Generally, you are aware with the features, you are aware with the characteristics of the capacitor. Capacitors periodically discharge, so we need to charge them again and again so that the information can be resist into the capacitor. For that very particular requirement, periodically recharging is being required with the dynamic RAMs. The static RAM is easier to use and has shorter read and write cycles. Auxiliary memory. The most common auxiliary memory device used in the computer system are magnetic disk and magnetic tapes. Other components used but not as frequently are magnetic drums, magnetic bubble memory, and optical memory. I feel in this scenario, in the current scenario, As far as the syllabus is concerned, as per as the university paper or the information given to your syllabus is concerned, we can discuss about the magnetic drums, magnetic bubble memory, and optical disk as well. But I also think that you are also feeling the same. And nowadays, there is no requirement of these type of memories, magnetic drum, magnetic bubble memory, because nowadays the many other auxiliary memory, secondary memory are available, which can keep the information very large as compared to these magnetic drums or magnetic tapes. However, as a legacy system, as a old tradition, at some places we are using these magnetic drums on the banking system or some railway system where the large information is to be stored with a very less price, where price to performance ratio is not so concerned. On that places we can use these older memories, but nowadays use of these type of memories not there in the current scenario. As a cache memory, the special I have discussed already about the various features of the cache memory. Special very high speed memory to increase the processing speed of the system, which is called as a cache RAM as well. The fundamental idea of cache organization is that keeping the most frequently accessed instructions and data in the fast cache memory. The average memory access time will approach the access time of the cache. Although the cache is only a small fraction of size of main memory, a large fraction of memory cached will be found in the fast cache memory because of the locality of reference property of the program. What is the meaning of this last line which has been given into this slide? The cache is only a small fraction of time. What it tells? It tells that the size of cache memory is very small as compared to the main memory, but it serves the maximum of the request of the processor. What it means? Maximum of the time, the information which is being required by the processor is available with the cache memory, and which again defines the performance of that particular type of cache memory. The information, the instruction, or simply we can say the data cache or instruction cache. When the case is of instruction, we will say instruction cache. When the cache is of data stored into that, then it is called as data cache. We will found in the fast cache memory, every data we will found, every, not we will say every, the maximum of the data will be found into the cache memory. The reason is of locality of reference property. We will discuss this reference property in later of this chapter. However, this is a type of property into which we have to keep the information on first come first base or least recently used or on another basis, by which we will discuss into the later part of this chapter. Different terms, different basic terms which must be aware, you must be aware with these terms, because in many of the places, many of the time we will use both of the terms which has been explained into the slide into the later part of this chapter, like memory access time, memory cycle time. The average time taken to read a unit of information is called as the memory access time. The memory cycle time, the average time lapse between two successive read operations. What is the meaning of this? You have to understand this again, memory cycle time. This is the time which we can say spanned or which lapse in between two successive read operation. If we are having a read operation A, if we are another read operation B, then the time spent, then the time lapse in between the read operation A and read operation B will be called as memory cycle time. By this way, we can say we are going to conclude with the basic information, basic introduction of this chapter. I feel you have learned something from the chapter, but I will again advise you to go through some books. The prerequisite is that every time if you are going with some video lecture, some information must be read out from some different type of books based on computer architecture organization, system organization by some different uh, writers like J.P. Hayes, Morris Manover, or you can use a book of your choice as well. So I have used computer architecture organization by J.P. Hayes. Uh, One book is of mine is always available into the market. I have again written a book. And some of the time I have used the different websites or I have taken the help in preparing the slides from the net as well. Thank you for listening patiently.